Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pride Link Online and to our queer yoga workshop. I'm so excited to have Julia with us and lead us in this class. My name is Ethan Johnstone. I'm the lead community builder of Pride Link. And for the folks that don't know much about Pride Link, we're a community-based nonprofit that offers health and wellness programs, social support, access to resources, and cultural capacity building for community partners and providers. And this program is part of our Pride Link Online response to the coronavirus and social distancing guidelines, just trying to bring additional social supports and workshops and opportunities to queer and trans folks during this time of pandemic. So Julia, I'm gonna turn it over to you, and yeah, thanks for being with us.
Yay, thanks so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to just share this yoga practice. I love to share the practice in the way that it's helped me. And especially as a teenager, yoga sort of became this essential part of my process and just navigating the weirdness of life and having something that was just a sustainable thing that I could do every day to help me be embodied and present, and also just, benefit me in all of the other ways that yoga can. So especially for the nervous system and the mind. So I love to share the practice in a way that is pretty lighthearted, not super serious, but it still can be fun. It can still be active or make you work hard. But it's really just about having this sort of open state of mind where you're approaching it playfully and really in touch with what's working for you and what's not working for you, or at least being open to asking yourself those questions. Like, it's totally okay to not be clear on, does this totally work for me or doesn't it? We just play with it and figure out over time what works and what doesn't. So it's going to be very all levels. You're encouraged the entire time to listen to yourself, listen to your body, to be your own expert, right? You know your body more than anybody else. And to just remember that it's really just an exploration, right? It's just about being willing and being open and doing your best to breathe and move, and also just to ditch anything that doesn't work for you. So I'm going to encourage that you have some sort of a cushion or a pillow that you can use at some point. So you can take, it doesn't need to be a fancy yoga prop by any means. You can take a cushion off the couch, you can take a pillow, whatever you have in that capacity, just have it close by. So I have a little cushion on my mat, and just have that with you. I also suggest having a glass of water, and also finding music, if that sounds appealing to you, that you can play during class. So Ethan and I were having this conversation earlier. I sometimes even love to play, whatever, crazy pop music, something that's super upbeat that maybe doesn't even really match the movements that I'm doing, just because that's the mood that I'm in. So I think it's good, especially when you're in the comfort of your own home, to know that you can make your practice whatever you want it to be. So if you want to have a really fun musical experience, please feel like you can do that. But of course, if you want to be a little more chill, there's all sorts of good playlists on Spotify or wherever you like to get your music that maybe are a little more on the soothing side. And of course, silence is always great too. So I think we'll just go ahead and get started. And let's start laying down on our backs. So you can make your way there now. And for now, you won't need the cushions. You can just scooch them off to the side. Yay. And I am in an apartment. Sometimes there is, random sounds that are out of my control. I also have a very cute dog who's here and present, who may or may not decide to be a part of yoga. So whenever you're ready, get settled on your backs. And just take a moment to find a few deep breaths. So you'll hear me emphasize and talk about the breath a lot. But just like the whole other spiel I gave about you being in charge, you being your own expert, that goes for how and when you breathe as well. So if you haven't done yoga before, a huge aspect of the practice is breathing. But if we're new to that, or even if we're not new to it, but if we are just navigating lots of stress or anxiety, then sometimes breathing deep can feel like it takes a lot of effort, and it can even be a little uncomfortable. So just know that you, again, are in charge. Breathe in the way that feels good for you. If breathing deep when I cue to breathe deep feels awesome, great. And if it doesn't, don't do it. So as you're laying down on your back, maybe you're finding a few deep breaths. And if breathing deep does feel like something you can work with today, maybe even consider taking your hands over your abdomen and just resting them there. And see what it's like to intentionally bring your breath into your belly. As if every time that you inhale, you're actually filling up a balloon in that space. And just continue to breathe in your own way that feels a-okay. Just as a tool for helping you to become super present and aware, just notice the space that you're in right now. Perhaps it's a space you're in quite often. Maybe it's your room or your home. Even if it's a space that you are very familiar with, can you just take a little glance around and notice it? Notice qualities of the space that you're in. Notice the temperature. And then bring your awareness back into yourself. And just notice the parts of your body that are making contact with the ground beneath you. Whether you're on a yoga mat or a towel or just the floor. Just feel for a moment. Let's take a deep breath in together. If it works for you, huge belly breath in. Let out a big releasing sigh out. When you're ready, go ahead and stretch your arms up over your head to the floor behind you. Maybe extend your legs out and just stretch your body super long, as if you would when you wake up from a nap. Maybe stretch and wiggle around your fingers and toes. Take another inhale, filling up your lungs. And as you exhale, slowly begin to bring both of your knees all the way into your body and give them a little squish. You can hold on to your knees or your shins, whatever feels comfortable, and just start to rock a little bit side to side. Just sort of massaging out your back on the floor. And then start to think about the way that you would like to sit up. So you can always just rock to one side and press yourself up. But if you're up for it and it feels okay for your back, go ahead and start to rock forward and back and see if you can get at least a few good rocks in. This can be really helpful if you're feeling low energy or just kind of funky. It can help to just wake you up a little bit. When you've had enough of that, go ahead and find a comfortable seat. And this will be the first place where we'll use our cushion or our pillow or whatever you've got handy just to sit your booty up on. You can take your time sort of wiggling around until you feel that you're nicely supported. Crisscross legs as long as that works for you. I always like to still take a little bit of movement before I try to be completely still. So whatever that looks like for you, maybe shrugging around your shoulders or moving your head and neck. See if you can eventually find a nice still place. All the while knowing that you're never bound to stillness, you're always in charge. Again, this practice is just an exploration of what we're working with right here, right now. What's going on within our bodies, within our minds, how we're feeling emotionally. It's never about being perfect or doing things exactly the way that I'm sharing them. It's just about exploring. When we can really hold that in our minds, it just makes the practice flow quite easily. Makes it not so serious. Let's take a moment to check in right here in your stillness. Notice what's going on. Perhaps you can soften your shoulders back and down. Maybe you can even sit up a little bit taller. Maybe you begin to focus in on your breath. Go ahead and take just a moment to bring your hands together in front of your heart. Really just a gesture of acknowledging and honoring yourself. Taking a moment to just recognize that beautiful inner part of yourself that's wonderful and perfect and good. We all have those long lists of things that we can nitpick about who we are in our lives and things that we would like to change or be better at or improve on. And sometimes it can be exhausting always being in that place of needing to be better or fit some expectations that we have of ourselves. And the inner part of the practice right here is really recognizing that who we are within is just totally wonderful and capable and awesome. Just notice what hearing that does to your body, to your being, to yourself. Right here, right now, can you just make a little commitment to fully and wholeheartedly being on your own team, having your own back? Go ahead and take a huge breath in, fill up your lungs, and let a big sigh out. When you're ready, you can blink your eyes open if they were closed. Let's go ahead and just shake the wrists out a little bit. Shake them out, shake them out, shake them out. So again, no right or wrong way. This could be super helpful, like the rocking forward and back to just help energize, wake us up. Think about your muscles getting nice and loose. Maybe even let your shoulders sort of shimmy in there. Then you go ahead and relax your arms. Take a very deep breath in as you shrug your shoulders all the way up to your ears. Let out a big sigh out of your mouth as you drop your shoulders back and down. We'll do that 2 more times. So big inhale, big sigh out. 1 more time like that, big inhale. So any tension or stress that tends to be there, try to sigh it out and let it go. Good. Take another inhale. As you exhale, bow just your chin down towards your chest, but try to keep the rest of your back sitting up nice and tall. And then as you take your next breath in, rock your right ear over towards your right shoulder and maybe very slightly tip your chin up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, slowly bring your head back down to neutral. And then inhale, rock it over to the left. And exhale back down. 1 more time each way, letting your head be super heavy, inhaling to the right. Exhaling, chin towards your chest. And inhaling towards the left. And exhale back down. Wonderful. The next time that you take an inhale, go ahead and puff your chest up, look up towards the ceiling, pull your shoulders back, take a nice big arch in your back. As you exhale, bow everything forward, and this time sink back a little bit so that you can round your back. Seated cat-cow, so we'll just keep going like that. Inhaling as you arch your back, lift your heart and look up. And exhale as you slowly round and bow forward. Find your own rhythm, your own pacing. And again, as long as breathing intentionally feels okay for you right now, try to really breathe with the movements. It's a really good way to warm up your spine. Find your rhythm. And the next time that you take an inhale, go ahead and just sit up super tall, but sweep your arms out and all the way up. So you're tracing a big giant circle outside of you. As you exhale, release your right hand down to the floor and arc your left arm over. So you're just taking a nice side stretch. So any of these movements, you can always lessen them, right? You can always lean in just a little bit less, or you can even go deeper depending on how your body feels. Take another inhalation, sit up, reach both of your arms up overhead. And then exhale, switch sides. Left hand comes down, right arm arcs over. Leaning in just to the degree that feels wonderful for you. Perhaps trying to breathe in and out through your nose for 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, sit up, reaching both arms up one final time here. And then as you exhale, draw your hands together, drop them down in front of your heart. Take just one more little pause here. Take another deep breath in, fill up as much as you can. Let out a big sigh. All right, so let's go ahead and transition onto all fours. So if you're using that cushion, go ahead and throw it out of the way. And just find yourself on your hands and knees. So again, since you're in likely your own home or your own space, you can always feel free to grab things that will be useful for your practice. So in this position, sometimes the knees can get a little tender, so having something like a towel or a blanket underneath the knees can be helpful. Go ahead and take a deep breath in right here in your tabletop. But then as you exhale, send your seat back towards your heels, maybe even draw your big toes together, and then relax the weight of your head if you can reach all the way down to the floor. Sometimes it's even nice to just stack your forearms or your hands and make a little shelf for your head. If this feels good for your body, this is a great shape to take anytime you feel a little overwhelmed in the practice, or if things start moving a little too quickly and you need a little break. We call it child's pose, and it's just a super useful one. Wherever you are, take a breath in. And then open your mouth, sigh it out, let it go. And on your next inhalation, slowly come back up to your tabletop pose and just take a moment to think about your hip bones and your pelvis and just make a few circles with that space. So the trick often is not to overthink it. So a few times in the same direction, making little circles. And then go the other way. So especially when we can remember that the practice is not about perfection or doing things exactly as I share, then it just becomes about how you feel and what feels right. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of getting used to it, right? Exploring. So pausing back in your tabletop pose, go ahead and emphasize where your shoulders are and make a few circles from there. Circles sort of go more forward, maybe beyond your hands. Just do a few the other way. Just warming up all the little spaces in our body, nice and slow. And then pause once again in your tabletop pose, just checking that more or less your hands are right under your shoulders and your knees are right underneath your hip bones. Again, not about perfection, just more or less. We'll do a few rounds of regular cat-cow. So on your inhale, you drop your belly, you lift your tailbone, lift your gaze, find that nice stretch in your back. As you exhale, you push the floor away from you as you round your back, bring your chin into your chest. Just back and forth like that a few times. Inhaling as you drop your belly, lift your tailbone, lift your gaze. Exhale as you push the floor away, maybe even really push your mid back up towards the sky. Let's do 3 more. Inhale. Push into the floor. Exhale. 2 more. Inhale. Round it in. Exhale. Last one. And exhale. Awesome. Take just a moment, find a neutral spine, but walk your hands a little bit more forward towards the front edge of your mat. And then bring your shoulders over your wrists again, so you'll notice that you sort of have to lean forward. So it's like a plank position, as if we were about to do a bunch of push-ups, but it's modified so the knees are down. Take a breath in here. And then as you exhale, lower down, bend your elbows. See if you can point your elbows back behind you. And then as you inhale, just lift your heart and lift your shoulders. We call it baby cobra. So just coming up very little. And then exhale, lower down. Go ahead and inhale. Press yourself up to your knees. And then exhale, send your seat all the way back like you're coming into that child's pose again. As you inhale, see if you can roll up to all fours. But it's like you're coming back into that cat pose. And then as you exhale, look forward, lower down, elbows back. So it's just a little flow to get things started. Inhale, roll your shoulders back, lift your heart. Exhale, push up to your knees, send your seat all the way back. Good, let's pick up the pace a little bit. Inhale, cat spine, rolling up to all fours. Exhale, lowering down. One deep breath in, baby cobra, lift your heart. Exhale, push up to all fours, round all the way back, child's pose. Good, one more like that. Inhale, rolling up. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, little cobra. And then exhale, pressing up and back. This time, as you send your seat back, start to curl your toes under and just take a little pause here. You might even be walking your hands a little bit closer in towards your knees. You're just getting a little stretch for your toes. If it works for your body, you can sort of swivel your hip bone side to side a little bit. Maybe walking your hands in even closer. If you want to take a nice wrist stretch, start to turn your fingers out, maybe all the way back towards your knees. See if you can do both at the same time, but no forcing, right? Just a little bit of a stretch. So it's always okay to just back off a little bit, right? All right, when you're ready, neutralize your hands, walk them forward, and then go ahead and push into the balls of your feet so that you can lift your hips all the way up into downward facing dog. So downward dog's one of those quintessential yoga poses. It's always portrayed in media when folks are talking about yoga. And there's many different ways to do it, but the key is to just find that your hands are about as far apart as your shoulders. Your feet are about as far apart as your hip bones. And then you want to make one of the goals to just find good length in your spine. So oftentimes that can happen best by bending your knees a little bit and just lifting your sitting bones up and away from your shoulders. Okay? So a lot of the time when you see this pose, the heels are flat down and the legs are locked straight, and that can be very intense if we're constantly striving to do it that way. So just see how it goes. And then just for a moment, go ahead and lower your knees all the way down, uncurl your toes, and sit up on your shins. Just your first little foray into downward dog. Go ahead and roll your wrists out. Take a deep breath in. Sigh it out, let it go. Go ahead, and if it works for you, reach your hands behind your body, clasp your fingers behind your back. See if you can get a nice stretch for your shoulders by rolling your shoulders back. Really broadening your collarbones, but a great other option of this is to just hold opposite elbows if this becomes a little too intense. Awesome. So go ahead and release whatever you're holding on behind you. Inhale, shrug your shoulders up to your ears like we did before. Let out a big sigh out of your mouth as you let go. Awesome. So go ahead and take your time. Walk your hands back and find that downward dog again. So just notice, again, hands about shoulder width apart, feet apart about the width of your hips, sitting bones, booty up high in the sky. Relax the weight of your head. Take a deep breath in right here. Sigh it out and let it go. Let's find another little flow. So as you inhale from your downward dog, slide forward, coming into a plank position like you're about to do a bunch of push-ups. But as you exhale, set your knees down and press your seat back to that same child's pose. And then inhale, come back up into a tabletop pose. And then exhale, lift up and back, downward dog. All right, so we're just kind of building on. Inhale into that plank position again. As you exhale, set your knees back, sit back. Inhale again up to your tabletop. And then exhale, lift up and back, downward dog. So you can keep going with that. Otherwise, you can inhale into plank and then exhale right back, downward dog. So just find a few more of whichever feels best. Inhale into plank. Exhale back to downward dog. The next time that you arrive in your plank position, go ahead and hold and stay. So we're just going to do a little 30-second plank hold. You can totally do this the modified way by setting your knees down. Sometimes I just like to do that anyway. Doesn't mean that you're any less of a good yoga practitioner if you choose to do it that way. Take a few breaths. Maybe notice that all of your fingers are spread apart. Your shoulders are drawing back and away from your ears. And we're just holding for the last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, with or without your knees, lower all the way back down to your belly. Uncurl your toes. Inhale, find that baby cobra again, slithering up. And then exhale, lower back down. Let's do it 2 more times. As you inhale, press into the floor, lift your heart, even if it's just a little bit. And exhale, lower down. 1 more time. Press, inhale, lift up. And exhale, soften down. Beautiful. When you're ready, push yourself up to your knees and then slowly make your way back into your downward facing dog. 1 more time. Take a big breath in. Let a big sigh out. Let's do that 1 more time. Big breath in. Big sigh out. Slowly begin to take your hands and walk them backwards. Back, 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 back. All the way until you end up at the back of the space that you're using. And when you're ready, as you inhale, slide your hands up to your shin bones. See if you can get really long through your torso. Draw your shoulders back. And then as you exhale, relax and fold again. But feel free to bend your knees. Let's do that again. Inhale, get a little bit longer. You're just really stretching. As you exhale, let it go. Relax and fold. 1 more time. Inhale. And let it go. Exhale. As you start to take your next breath in, roll your way up to standing. So see how it feels. Let your knees be soft. And just roll nice and slow all the way up. I was wondering if I was going to cut my head off. So once you're upright, we're just going to take a moment to shake it out. So feet apart about the width of your hips or even a little bit wider. And I always like to start with a little bounce. So even if it feels completely silly or awkward, see if you can just give yourself the chance to move in whatever funky little way feels right for you, right? So you can shimmy your shoulders, you can shake the wrists like we did before, you can shake one leg out at a time, you can even dance around, or even just run in place, or ditch it entirely. So just give yourself the chance to do what you need, to do what feels right. Take a few deep breaths, regardless of the way that you choose to move or don't move. Just keep going for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Just start to slow it down. Ease your way back into stillness again, simply standing up. No right or wrong way. Maybe just try to stand up tall. Just a moment to bring your hands back together in front of your heart. acknowledging yourself, this moment. Maybe take another deep breath in. And then sigh it out. Let it go. Beautiful. So if you're on a yoga mat, go ahead and take a few steps all the way until you get to the very top portion of your mat. Stand up nice and tall with your feet apart about the width of your hips. And then as you inhale, reach your arms forward and up above your head as you also lift your left knee. And then as you exhale, take your time, slowly step this left foot all the way towards the back of your mat. So you want to end up in this little lunge position where you're leaning forward. All right, so again, not about perfection, but more or less your head, neck, back, and back extended leg is all in one line. Right? And the arms also reach back. And then see if as you inhale, you can step all the way forward, bring that left knee up, reach your arms above your head again. And then exhale, step back, reach back. So we're just gonna do it 3 more times. Press forward, inhale, step up. You can always just leave the foot down if that feels a little more supportive. And then exhale, take a step back, leaning forward. 2 more times, inhale, standing up tall. Exhale, reaching back. 1 more time, inhale. And stepping back, exhale. So go ahead and hang out here just for a few more breaths in this position. So you will likely start to feel your front leg really working. That front knee again is bent. Back leg is really nice and straight. If you want, you can take this a little bit deeper by taking your left elbow and twisting it by taking it towards your right knee. So you create a little twist for your back, pushing into your palms gently as you breathe for 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly unwind and then see if you can step all the way back up into that position 1 more time. Inhaling, knee forward, arms up. And then exhale, let it go. So give yourself the chance to shake it out just a little bit, just as a little reset. All right, we have 5 rounds on the other side. Begin to root down through the bottom of your left foot. When you're ready, take that inhale, lift your arms, lift your right knee. And exhale slowly, step it back. Find that little incline lunge. When you're ready, on your inhale, step forward. Remember, you can always modify. Exhale, step the foot back, sweep your arms back. Inhale, step forward, reach the knee up. Exhale as you step back. Just 2 more times, inhale. Step it back, exhale. Last one. And exhale. We're gonna hang out right here. So foot back, front knee bent. And then if you want, take your hands to your heart. Twist by taking right elbow, the left knee. Remember to just go as far as it feels okay, right? It's not about going into the deepest twist. It's just about feeling like you're in a place that you can hang out in for a little bit. Breathe for 3, 2, 1. Slowly unwind and then see if you can step all the way forward and back, reaching the knee up, lifting the arms, and then let it go. Give yourself the chance to shake it out just a little bit. And then when you're ready, separate your feet apart about the width of your shoulders, turn your toes out, and start to come all the way down into a low squat. So I like to turn my toes out to about 11 and 1 or 10 and 2, depending on how I'm feeling. So you can imagine the clock. Where would those toes need to point? The toes are turned slightly out. Just take a moment to get acquainted with this position. See if you can think about increasing the distance from the very top of your head to your tailbone. Right, so you can kind of think of a little accordion if you try to make it a little bit longer. Just take a few breaths here. So even if you feel like you're sort of hunching in, that's okay, as long as this doesn't feel painful. See if you can just hang out for another moment or so in the low squat. It's a really good movement, as long as we're able to do it, to try to incorporate every day. a good, just functional motion for the human body to do. All right, when you're ready, you can come to sitting all the way down. If you want, you can take a hand behind you to support you so you don't feel like you flop all the way down. And then just cross your legs, whatever intuitive way feels good. And right away, just start to swivel your torso from side to side. So even if that feels a little silly or you're a little unclear on exactly what the movement's like, maybe start to think of something blowing in the wind or seaweed on the ocean floor, just this sort of fluid side to side movement. And then you can start to incorporate the arms. So as you go one way, you can bring the other arm up and over, but it's really just, again, sort of exploring, right? It's not about nailing a perfect position. It's just this sort of navigation into the body, seeing what feels right, finding the depth of your own range of motion. When you're ready, you can slow that down all the way until you can just pause for a moment, sitting upright. And you can make the choice. If you want to lay down for your little rest, you can go ahead and just lay on down. Or if you want to stay seated, you can go ahead and sit up on a cushion again. So at the end of every yoga practice, we take a shape called Shavasana, which is traditionally taught laying down. But really the point is to just digest all of the movements that you did, all of the deep breathing that you did, so that you can really absorb it, right? So rather than it just being a workout that you then totally finish quickly and just skip on to the next thing, we just take time to really internalize it. So whatever feels right for you, whether you want to lay down, whether you want to sit, give yourself the chance to get still again. But again, remember, you're never bound to stillness. If you need to move, you're totally free to move. Sometimes being still can really show us a lot about what's going on in our minds that maybe we weren't fully aware of. Especially if we're anxious or overwhelmed, we all have different coping mechanisms that we use to navigate that tricky space. And so being still isn't necessarily about being just present and completely comfortable. Sometimes we are here and we're uncomfortable. Sometimes we're still and we remain anxious. Sometimes we're still and we remain overwhelmed. So just know that it's okay. Whatever you're feeling, whatever you're experiencing is totally valid, normal. And if you're able to, just play with stillness. Just see what it's like. Whether you feel really comfortable here or at ease or still feel overwhelmed or anxious or anywhere on the vast spectrum of emotions, maybe just start to notice your breath. Sometimes just saying that makes us want to take a deep breath in. Perhaps notice the consistency of your breath or where you feel your breath the most. Maybe you feel it around your nose, your nasal passageway. Maybe you feel it more in the rise and fall of your chest or even your belly. And sometimes it's nice when we get still just to get lost in thought. It's not a bad thing. The mind and imagination and inner creativity can be so useful. Sometimes it's also useful to just weave in the breath into whatever that experience is. So again, just noticing your breath, noticing how it feels to breathe. And just taking a few intentional breaths together, whether you're seated or laying down. Go ahead and take a very big, deep breath in, just for the count of 4. Breathing in for 3, 2, 1, and then exhaling nice and slow for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in again, really big for 4, 3, 2, 1. A slow exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in again, big for 4, 3, 2, 1. Maybe hold your breath this time, just for 3, 2, 1. Big, slow exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Find your own rhythm, find your own way of breathing. Maybe continue to add that little pause, that little breath hold at the top. Or feel free to ditch that too and just inhale deeply and exhale slowly. Just for another moment, maybe another round or 2. Perhaps noticing how breathing in that way may impact your body, your physiology, how you feel. When you feel you've had enough of that, just totally let that breath regulation and breath control go. Just breathe in your own way. Noticing stillness. Noticing yourself right here, right now. If you are laying down, you can begin to slowly make your way back up to a comfortable seated position. And when you're ready, bring your hands back together in front of your heart. Just another moment to connect in with yourself right here, right now. And knowing that we can always make those long lists where we can nitpick things that we could be doing better, more consistently, and sometimes that can be useful. It's always great to have goals. But can we also take time to just give ourselves a break, completely be on our own team? Go ahead and take one final deep breath in. Fill up as much as you can. And let it go. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope that that was useful and helpful. And it's just good to have that reminder that it's not about perfection, right? I know I have that tendency, whether I go to take a yoga class or any sort of class, whether it's dance or working out, and I really want to do things perfectly or exactly the way that the teacher is cueing for them to be. And so oftentimes when we put ourselves in that state of mind, it sort of disconnects us from what's actually going on within our own bodies. And so a huge aspect of the yoga practice is really just about presence and awareness. And those are words that get thrown around all the time now, and it's hard to know what they really mean, right? But it's just about being totally immersed in what's going on within yourself. So especially in times where we are anxious, overwhelmed, confused, frazzled, navigating lots of emotions, we think that the best coping mechanism is to sort of disconnect from that and check out or be distracted. And while that can also be helpful sometimes, if we actually backtrack a little bit and come into ourselves, into our bodies, then we often find that the arrangement of whatever we're experiencing in our mind or our thoughts can just be a little more organized, a little more settled. You might feel a little more grounded, and then you can go back and engage in your life or watch a movie, watch a show, create art, talk to a friend, whatever those things are that get you by. You might feel a little more in touch with them. And yoga is not a magic pill, right? It's not something that just makes everything better, but being here now, being with yourself is always a good place to start. So as always, take what works for you, ditch the rest, and just have fun exploring with that. Anyway, thank you.